welcome to this episode of Conversation with a Chef. I'm Jo Ritty and I love sharing with you the conversations I get to have with talented and passionate chefs. It's the backstory, if you will, to the food they're putting up. This is a bonus episode in the Truffles series with Julian Hills from Navi, who kindly had a second attempt to chat with me after my equipment failed the first time round. In 2023, Julian was named Good Food Guide's Chef of the Year, and Navi has maintained its two-hat status as of 2024. Julian is a creative and passionate chef, a lovely man, and he has an enduring fascination with truffles, so I really could not have had a truffle series without him. This podcast is recorded on Wurundjeri country, and I pay my respects to the First Nations custodians of the land, both here and wherever you're listening from. Hello.
Hello.
So I've really realised over the course of doing this truffle series that you probably are one of the most enthusiastic chefs about truffles. Chefs generally tend to love them when it comes into truffle season, but you seem to be next level. What is it about truffles that you enjoy so much?
I think truffles, they've got their own terroir, and they're all completely different, depending on altitude, whether they get snow or constant frost when they're ripening, and they're like, I sort of relate them to MSG for food. So I think they're one of those things that really enhance something rather than. I find that a lot of chefs or a lot of dinners I've been to that involve truffle, it's all about the truffle.
Mm.
And even though I use a lot of truffle, I choose different truffles from different farms to enhance different dishes. So I'm going to use a completely different truffle for a fish dish than I am for, say, a duck.
Mm.
To say, yeah. I've been lucky enough to work with lots of truffles over the last 20 odd years, since I did my first truffle dinner, and I got a bit obsessed by the different flavors and how they worked with things. So I sort of had the luxury of, we do our month of truffle menu at Navi, and we able to do every course with a different truffle, which is pretty unique. Like I haven't come across that before, but I'm a little obsessive about it.
So is that already planned? Do you know what you're going to do, or do you need inspiration once the truffles appear, or what? How does it work?
Well, I've got a sort of base menu and a few options, and then once the truffles start coming in, and it changes over the month because the ripening, like truffles have just become available now, but they're probably not as ripe as they should be, and they're not as ready as they should be. A lot of, the early season truffles, it's exciting. It's the first truffles of the year, but they sort of lack that depth because the truffle grows to full size maturity around the equinox in March, and then it's from there it's the ripening. So I'm sort of thinking this year should be pretty good from what I'm talking to other farmers and stuff, because of the amount of frost and cold nights we're having. And we had a good rain early on when they were developing, and it sort of dried up and got cold, and so it'll be interesting to see what we get this year. So, last year was very damp. We got very, very deep fungi aromas for everything. So it'll be interesting to see. So based on that, I wait till I see the truffles to see where they'll fit in and how they'll pair with ideas that I've got for dishes.
And you're talking about the different truffle farms, and that's different regions as well. So where do you get your truffles from?
All over. So I've got Mudgema, which is probably the most well known for Australian farm or Australian regions in the world. They produce a lot of truffles, and they've got a good cooperative thing sorted out there where it's they pick on a Sunday, they grade together, and then they ship out on a Tuesday. It goes all over the world. And then Tasmania, ACT, New South Wales, Victoria. I had some from South Australia last year for the first time. So it'd be interesting to see how those farms, I know there's a few farms just starting to fruit there. So, because they do take quite a while for a farm to hit maturity. So it'll be interesting to see what comes out of South Australia with their climate.
And what are the differences between those different regions? You know, is it a flavour thing or an aroma thing? Do they look different?
Appearance is probably not so much because they're all the same variety of truffle.
Okay.
But aroma, and the aroma is really, it's the flavour and the everything you get out of a truffle. So some truffles will smell really aromatic, and that'll just dissipate. Some will be really fruity. Western Australia, I find kind of chemically a little bit, like it's hard to explain, but they're distinctive Western Australian truffles. Tasmanian truffles have this big, deep sort of, without sounding too wanky, this big bass note truffle aroma to them that I think it's because they get snow every year in that region, and so you get that the colder nights and the frozen ground that really helps. The Victoria depends on, there's coastal truffles. There's some up in the Yarra Valley, which have a fruitiness to them, but it sort of dissipates pretty quickly. So it's like you shave the truffle and then the aroma's almost gone. But they have a fruity flavour that really, like last year, I had a truffle that I wouldn't consider the best truffle I've ever had, but what it did for my dry aged duck was lifted it to another level. And trying to explain to a customer, this is not a great truffle, but wait till you try it with this duck, and you get that differences in them and how they work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. And are you using different techniques with the different dishes as well?
Yeah, absolutely. Shaving a truffle over something is not, you're not really going to get everything you need out of it. But so there's lots of, we ferment truffles, we poach truffles in sherry, we do a truffle puree, we might line a piece of meat with truffle and wrap it up in crapinette and roast it slowly so that truffle infuses in.
Wow.
Put it under the skin of a chicken or a pheasant or something that really gets into the meat. Grate it into a sort of warm dressing and dress that over something that's hot. So it lets the aroma come out, and as you mix it with the hot dish, whether it be like a rabbit rotolo or some braised meat, and you put this dressing over it and sort of just mixes in with it, and it sort of allows the flavour to escape a little bit more intensely and works well with the sweetness of whatever you're working with. I find that if you cook truffles too long, they lose their thing. If you go too hot, they lose their flavour. So you don't want to boil a truffle, or it just starts disappearing. It's something that between 60 and 70 degrees, it releases everything. Beautifully. But there's I said with the duck last year, and I don't normally shave truffle over things because I think it's a waste of truffle, but the fruity truffle, eating it with that warm duck, we served it with chopsticks, so you could eat a bit of the shaved truffle with the breast at the same time.
Wow.
And it I can't say anymore, but it's just a different way of eating it. And I don't want, when people eat truffle at Navi, I don't want to punch them in the face with truffle where they're sick of truffle after 14 courses. I want them to be excited about what it can do, and hopefully have seen the difference between the different regions and climates.
And you've been truffle hunting yourself. Is that like an Easter egg hunt where you just get really excited when you come across one, or when the dog comes across one?
Yeah, I mean it's funny because the farms are pretty set out, and they're going every day. And they might know that there's a truffle there. They're waiting for it to ripen, so they're not just going to dig it up because they've found a truffle. You actually get on your hands and knees and smell the truffle, see if it's ready. So it's a lot of smelling the dirt. But yeah, I mean, it is. And you don't know what you might dig around and find 3 20-cent piece truffles, or you might find one that's the size of a softball. And I guess that's pretty exciting.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is. It's very interesting to do, and to sort of understand it a bit better, and you can sort of see in the ground the way the truffles affect the ground around the trees. So yeah.
So
it's worth going on a truffle hunt. There's lots of opportunities to do that now.
Yeah, and Dion from WA was telling me, the truffle farmer was saying that it's a really symbiotic relationship, that the truffles are good for the trees. Obviously the trees help the truffles to fruit, and then the truffles give back to the soil and the trees as well, and then we get that added pleasure, so it's just an all-round good time.
Yeah. And it's not. And I think, like at Red Hill, she does hazelnuts. She has some beautiful hazelnuts coming off her trees. So I mean, they don't taste like truffle or anything, of course, but they're very healthy hazelnuts.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
If that makes any.
Yeah. That's great. Thank you. And all the best for your month of truffle dinners in July. When will that?
Yeah. I think there's only. I think we're pretty much fully booked for that. There's a couple of larger tables left, but otherwise it's pretty much taken.
Okay.
Yeah, jump on the website, and if you put in the amount of people you want, it's crossed out. Unfortunately, it's crossed out, but if it's not, that means there's something available.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Well, thank you so much for your time again, Julian. Really great.
No worries.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Conversation with a Chef with Julian Hills from Navi. If you liked what you heard, you can check out all the goodness on Instagram at Restaurant Navi, that's Navi. It does sound as though Julian's truffle dinners in July are almost booked out, but you can put your name on the wait list and hope for the best. If you'd like to hear more stories from other chefs, I'm on Instagram at Conversation with a Chef. You can read the chat and become a subscriber at www.conversationwithachef.com. I'd love it if you told a friend about my chats, and of course you can follow me on Apple and Spotify podcasts. That'd be great. Once again, thanks for listening, have a great day, and bon appetit.